And we are live. Welcome back to Ask Dr. Vincent after our series with me, Dr. Vincent, and my co-host, friend, and co-founder, Christian.
Hello.
And as always, thank you so much for tuning in. And for all of you, the first-time listener and watcher, whenever I look that way, it's not because I have ADHD. It's because Christian is sitting there and still 7 episodes in, he's still is not confident enough to be on camera.
I'm just not going on camera till we reach, I think it was 50,000 Instagram followers. So
50,000. Wow.
that's my face reveal number, 50,000.
That is a tall ask. But on that topic, I actually want
I'm relying on the fact that that's a tall ask.
Okay. But before we reach to the 50,000 followers on Instagram, I would like to express my gratitude because obviously, if you have been joining us from the very first episode of After Hours, you could see the number behind me. And shout out to our friend at Smurl. Thank you so much for supporting us with that counter. It was 12,000 followers before, and now we're over 1,000 followers, additional 1,000 followers just from doing this. So thank you so much.
We're not at Kim Kardashian levels yet, but we're really making a start.
We're really making a start, and I really want to make a thing that being healthy, being happy, is the next trend. It is the social status flex because never mind the Birkin bags and everything, the best asset that you can flaunt and show off is your health. Without further ado, let me introduce to you the topic for this episode. I was thinking that now we're in Sydney, we're beaming to you from Sydney, Australia, and we have just, entered spring. The spring has sprung, and with warmer weather, a lot of people have started going out, either for walking, ended up at a brunch place, and before you know it, is a mimosa, bottomless margarita. Basically, what I'm talking about, day drinking.
We're talking about day drinking today.
And when the sun is out, somebody pop a bottle of bubbles open, and day drinking feels like something that quite naturally being involved when you have a social circle, when you're going out with your friends. And I want to talk about the impact of day drinking to our health, and why is it, is it true that there is a better time to drink, whether it's during the day, during the night, and how alcohol and alcohol consumption actually affect your gut health and your overall health. So, yeah.
Okay, can we talk about day drinking, but can we also talk about just a couple of other things while we're at it? Because I want to have a talk maybe about coffee as well, because that's another thing that like people say, oh, you can only drink at a certain time of the day. And then like gut health really interests me because you know so much about the importance of the gut and the digestive system. I think it's something we should definitely talk about, and it's something that I have questions about as well. But I'll save those. I'll save those for a little bit later. We'll start with day drinking, and I guess the thing that I just want to start with is day drinking kind of getting earlier, because it's just like everywhere you go now in Sydney, there's a bottomless brunch. So you arrive at 10 and you're drunk by 11 or something.
Well, I think there is an argument to the hospitality industry is trying to get more revenue in the form of people are spending more in alcohol. So if you start drinking early, it means that you're more likely to order more food, you're more likely to order more drinks, and you're more likely to spend more time at the venue. And I really do think that it is up to us to know kind of the limit of what we can drink, because on our second episode, we talk about addiction. Alcohol being one of the things that trigger addiction or addictive behaviors actually affect people differently. So some people may be able to do 4 hours bottomless brunch or mimosa or rosé all day. But for some people, it affects them not only in the chronic way, like addiction, but also in the short-term way, be it flushing. So some people, especially from Asian genetics, we my people, some of us, we lack the enzyme to digest alcohol, and some people also have a lot higher sensitivity when it comes to alcohol. Say people who are sensitive to tannins or to histamine, they get a, a little bit of like hives or headache or hangover affect them a lot more than other
Can we
people.
can we ask the big question? So you're a nutritionist, qualified nutritionist. You have a PhD and all this stuff. Is alcohol bad for you, and should you not drink it at all?
I don't think alcohol is necessarily bad for you. I think too much alcohol, or if you consume alcohol too often, it can be bad for you. It's a little bit like sugar. It's a little bit like fat. It's a little bit like salt. It's something that gives spice to life. It helps you to be more relaxed. It helps you to be to enjoy your time. It is also really good for people to, socialize, because a lot of times, especially when we talk about mental health, people have a little bit more or less inhibition and more confidence when it comes to socializing with alcohol. I do think that the dependency on alcohol to do social activities interaction is bad. I also do think that when alcohol
But it's
consumption
like
becomes something that is regular, and people need to drink alcohol, to consume alcohol, to function in their day-to-day activities, or to cope with their day-to-day mood and feelings, that is when alcohol becomes bad.
so. It's people refer to alcohol as a social lubricant. So you're kind of saying
Or
um,
liquid courage.
liquid courage. So and some of that social interaction, not necessarily the alcohol, but the social interaction actually helps with mental health. But we're not prescribing alcohol for for improvement in mental health, I don't think.
No, and I do no, but I do think that when you share beer with a mate, and when you pop up a bottle of wine, I do think that in the right circumstances, drinking with friends and drinking with other people is actually better than drinking by yourself. Because when you drink by yourself, sometimes it is associated with loneliness or depression, or bad mood, or you're feeling that you need the alcohol to cope. Whereas when you're drinking with people, it is more about sharing. It's more about talking and social interaction. So there is argument for both sides.
No, but it's okay to have like one glass of wine when you get home, because I do that. I mean,
I mean, French
after
paradox, right?
a full day working at Renovatio, you need a glass of wine.
I am a really great CEO, guys. I don't know what he's talking about. What I'm talking about, what I want to talk about, is there is this thing called the French paradox. So this is one thing that is coined by researcher, because French people, they drink wine, they enjoy sort of kind of fattier and more sugary food when it comes to their diet. However, the incidence of the French people developing a coronary heart disease or cardiovascular disease is actually lower compared to other population in the Western culture and the Western diet. So one of the theory is that the phenolics in wine, as well as the way that they enjoy their food. So they don't eat for the sake of eating, they don't drink for the sake of getting drunk. They really enjoy the food. And I think there's an argument, when you enjoy the food, you're eating not only for calorie, but you're also eating for nutrients and also for your brain and your mental health.
So, and really, fermented fruit or grains have been around for a very, very long time. I think the first type of alcohol was actually mead. So that was
Which is from honey.
made from honey, and then sort of moved on to wine and beer, and then sort of spirits.
Basically anything that naturally contains sugar. The reason why mead was the first sort of kind of recorded form of alcohol is because the high sugar content of honey, which means that naturally when it is being exposed to the environment, and in this case yeast, fermentation happens. Accidental fermentation happened a lot easier compared to natural food or natural substance with less sugar. So, for example, when we talk about sake or spirits, they're all grain-based alcohol, and you need to kind of process the grain first to really expose the simple sugar, simple carbohydrate to the yeast to start the fermentation. The same way with wine, Grape is naturally high in sugar. So in the past, when accidental fermentation happen, it happens more in that sort of kind of uh, environment and substance compared to grains.
And is it true that even like in indigenous cultures, where they did have a form of alcohol and they used saliva, in fact?
Yeah, the saliva introduced the enzyme to digest and break down the complex carbohydrate into simple sugar, and this simple sugar feeds and fuel yeast to start fermentation and produce alcohol. So that's the saliva itself doesn't start the fermentation, but it accelerates and helps as a catalyst to the fermentation.
Although I think maybe drinking something made like that is one step too far for me in terms of day drinking.
And we're talking about, I don't know, uh, I don't know whether I should talk about this or not, but I
I'll
know
go for it.
I know this from movies and TV series because for those of you who have been our loyal listener, you know that I learned English from watching Martha Stewart infomercial and as well as TV shows and movies. So apparently, there is such thing called the prison wine. So basically, you use
Did Martha Stewart make prison wine?
no, Martha Stewart had been to prison, but
She didn't make wine while she was there?
I don't know. I
This is the one where you make it kind of in the toilet. I don't know if
in the toilet, yes, in the
this
toilet
is
with
I'm not sure I want to.
because you need a vessel to contain everything, and
Yeah.
apparently you use yeast from bread or bread dough.
Oh, okay, because you could smuggle that back to your cell.
Yes,
Okay.
and you use Saccharomyces cerevisiae. That's the name, the name, the scientific name of yeast, and it's the same yeast that you use for bread making.
Okay, so we're talking about getting pretty desperate to get sort of the buzz off alcohol. What actually is the buzz off alcohol? How does that actually work? So you drink some alcohol, it goes into your stomach. What happens? Why does it work?
So it goes into your bloodstream. It gets alcohol. The alcohol enzyme then cuts this alcohol chemical conformation and structure, and it gets to your uh, bloodstream, and then it alters the perception of your brain. So that's the reason why it's a social it has been described as a social lubricant. It has been described as liquid courage because it makes you think that you can do things that you probably can do but lack the courage to, and in sometimes it also gives you too much courage to do things that you shouldn't be doing. And I do believe that, like every other substances, people react differently, and people their system utilizes alcohol differently. And this is the reason why I do believe that sometimes alcohol affects people, a group of people, a lot more significantly compared to other people. And that's the reason why sometimes people uh, think that they can't drink alcohol because it makes them do things that they're not happy
So
about.
you're talking about the difference between, like, colloquially, like a happy drunk to
Or
a
sad drunk,
or a sad drunk, or
people who just get really
who just
sleepy
really sleepy, or people
or
who
violent.
get violent, and they're the people who probably should stay away from alcohol because they can't do anything about that. That's just what alcohol is doing to them. Is that
That's
right?
correct. But they can do something prior to drinking alcohol. So this is the reason why I do believe that the first alcohol that anyone should drink when they come to the legal age of drinking is with their friends and or family, because you never know how alcohol can affect you and alters that perception of your brain. So it needs to be in a safe space so that someone can rescue you, so to speak.
So I had sips of alcohol, maybe some sherry, or to taste, the wine or
First of
something.
all, we're not saying in any way that people should take a sip of alcohol before the legal age limit. However, we do know that in some culture, alcohol is introduced a lot earlier. And I'm talking about things like maybe some alcohol in tiramisu, because some Italian cooking and dessert does contain alcohol.
Well, I think in France, up until the 1940s, 1950s, school children, in fact, could drink alcohol at lunch. Wine. They could drink wine at lunch.
Well, I need to Google that. If you know of such incident or customer tradition, please do comment down below. I can see that 4 people are watching us live.
But is that like in Australia it's 18 is the age limit. In the US it's 21.
And Indonesia is non-existent. So I do think that it is not really biologically.
But
It's not biologically determined. I do think that it is more of a social structure, because there has to be a rule. There has to be an age where you are being perceived as someone who can be responsible of your choices.
Yeah.
So I think that's
so you
how
think
they
it's
determine it.
more about choices than physiology, or is it alcohol is going to affect someone who is younger and developing and all that sort of thing?
To an extent, yes, but you can't tell me that if I am 17 years old and I don't know, 11 months, alcohol is going to affect me differently a month out from the legal drinking age.
So some people, like, especially during US prohibition and all that sort of stuff, just say, it's poison.
Well, alcohol literally is poison to your body. So alcohol, your body will prioritize metabolizing alcohol and flushing it out because it is toxic, it's poisonous to your body. And that's the reason why for people who drink too much alcohol, they actually are actively damaging their liver, because the liver, remember, liver and kidney are the 2 major detoxification organs in our body. So when you drink a lot of alcohol and actively poisoning your body, your liver is the one that will suffer first, because your liver is desperately trying to get rid of this alcohol from your body.
So does it have any like medicinal purpose in terms of, like, does it kill any bacteria in the gut or anything?
If you're asking me, I do not think that alcohol has any medicinal purpose physiologically. You can argue that it helps people's mental health, it helps people to feel happy and relaxed and everything, but physiologically, strictly biology, I do not think that alcohol has any health benefiting aspect when it comes to consuming it. Number 2, you're absolutely right.
It's not an internal disinfectant.
It is not. It is not in the way that you would want it. It is an internal disinfectant in the way that, because it kills bacteria, it kills off all of the bacteria in your system.
Both
and majority of the time, it will be the good one. And not that it grows the bad bacteria. It's just that when you eliminate the good bacteria, unfortunately, the bad bacteria repopulates faster and it will take over your system. Do you know that there's actually more bacteria cells in our body compared to our own cells? And when it is being repopulated by the bad guys, the bad bacteria, that's when people have issues. Things like infection, things like compromised immune system, inflammation. And that's the reason why alcohol, while it kills things, it kills the good bacteria more than the bad bacteria.
So are some people allergic to alcohol?
I think some people cannot tolerate alcohol. So Asian population, some of us don't have the enzyme to neutralize alcohol, and therefore alcohol remains in the most toxic form in our body. Number 2, some people are probably more sensitive towards things in alcoholic drinks. For example, tannins or histamine or preservatives or sulfite in wine. Not necessarily the alcohol, because some people can tolerate white wine more than they can tolerate red wine, for example.
So that's me, like, and it's pretty serious intolerance. And my background is Scottish and Irish, so I should just be able to, like, day drink all day. But
never mind the stereotypical aspect of this.
Yeah, but that's fine. The Scottish and Irish people don't mind. But for example, I'm highly allergic, and it only started when I was about 35. I'm highly allergic to red wine now. So I get full-on heart palpitations.
So a lot of people, I don't mean to criticize some experts or nutritionists or dietitian or doctors even who who talk about the difference between red wine and white wine, or even some sommelier. Because when you go to the restaurant and you say that I can't really tolerate red wine, the first thing that they will say that, oh, it's the preservative, and let me give you the organic, biodynamic, preservative-free wine. And I know for a fact that it will still affect people who are sensitive to red wine. And it is not about the tannins, it is not about the preservative, it is more about a substance called tauromine.
Oh,
So tauromine is not a very well-known substance, but tauromine actually exists when you age something. So cure meat, for example. Red wine in particular affect people like yourself because the winemaking process when it comes to red wine is more likely that it is being barreled and aged compared to the white wine. And over time, as you age the wine, the tauromine content becomes more prominent and potent in the wine. And that can cause uh, things like high blood pressure because it's a facet restrictor. It restricts your blood vessel, and therefore it raises your blood pressure. It gives you heart palpitation. And not only that, it also affects your brain center when it comes to the nervous system that affects your heart rhythm, your blood pressure, and the way that some people probably like yourself experience nightmares or a little bit more nervous when you drink red wine, and it wakes people up sometimes and
I get
and
nightmares
keeps them
from
awake.
I get nightmares from something else, but we're talking about alcohol at the moment, so we'll get to that. I'll talk about that a little bit later because I'm really interested in that one as well. So maybe so the effect obviously of over day drinking is a hangover. Um, uh, uh, why is it that you can have a couple of drinks, get no hangover, and you know if you have more than that or whatever, you do end up getting a hangover? What's the tipping point for a hangover? How does it what's the physiology of it? Like what does it do?
So hangover is basically a combination of symptoms. A majority of it is being driven by dehydration. When you drink alcohol, because your body is desperately trying to get rid of it, to flush it out of your system, it pulls all of your water, available water from everywhere, including your brain, and our brain is majority water, pulls all of the water resources, put it into your digestive system to metabolize and flush alcohol out from your system. That's the number one. And number two, when it comes to hangover, I don't think there is a hard rule in terms of how much alcohol you drink or how many standard drinks of alcohol before you actually get hangover. I do think that everybody has different limits. So the reason why when you're drinking one drink or two drinks of alcoholic beverages, you probably can tolerate it because your body, up to a certain point, is quite efficient in metabolizing, getting rid of the alcohol. However, when flushing out alcohol is slower compared to the supply of alcohol that you put into your body, that's when it overwhelms your system. And I do think that when you are day drinking, for example, combine that with sugar, with salt, with greasy food that you eat while enjoying your alcohol beverages, the transit time of alcohol in your system is longer because obviously your body has to select and prioritize whether or not to process and digest the food or process, metabolize, and flush out the alcohol. So the longer the alcohol stays in your system, the more negative impact that it will cause to your system, including dehydration.
So is it good then to have greasy food after alcohol because it makes you feel better?
And I don't think it makes you feel better. It gives you more satisfaction because obviously alcohol, it doesn't only give you courage. It doesn't only give you that relaxed and happy feeling for people who are happy when they're drinking. It also heightens your senses. And when it comes to sugar, salt, and fat, when your taste buds are more sensitive to all of these flavors, obviously, when you bite into the cheeseburger while you're a little bit tipsy, tastes a lot better because you're really feeding that system, that dopamine system, that the do it again feedback by your brain. There is a pause. I don't know what he's thinking about.
Well, I was thinking about asking another question, but I just want to actually ask about what it does to your gut lining too.
But it's the first and foremost thing that it does to your gut and intestinal lining is inflame it. So it causes inflammation in your gut and intestinal lining. And this is the reason why when you drink alcohol or people who consume alcohol regularly, usually they have bad digestive system. And therefore, their immune system is also compromised because 70% of our immune system originate from our gut. And not only that, uh, when you are inflaming your gut and intestinal lining, you're also depriving your gut and epithelial cells, that's what we call it, from renewing themselves. So our gut and intestinal lining, the epithelial cells, they actually renew and regenerate every 3 to 5 days. And that's the reason why when you take things like activated phenolics, a lot of people, the first thing that they notice is the improvement in their digestive tract. That's because our gut and intestinal lining is amongst the first cells and tissues that regenerate itself in a more regular rhythm. When you are inflaming this group of cells and tissues, you're literally depriving them from their ability to regenerate. And when you have sort of kind of a broken system in your gut and intestinal lining, not only it causes havoc in your immune system, it also hinders your body's ability to digest food and absorb nutrients. So really, it is a little bit like a vicious cycle.
So I guess the reason for my pause, and I'll be honest about it, is I
Go
wanted
on.
to I wanted to ask you a question about something that we discovered a little bit early on in our company, and we've never really talked about because we didn't know whether or not it really, sort of fit the sort of health brand, because we're all about promoting healthy lifestyle and also eating the right foods and supporting yourself with the right supplements and all those sort of things. So we've never sort of fully explored this.
I think I know where you're
Am
going.
I allowed to explore this, seeing this is what we're talking about on the podcast, or you don't want to talk about it?
Well, let me preface. There's a lot of prefacing before we go into that, and people can actually check Food Standard Australia New Zealand website, because we do have a a written notification when it comes to the functions and health relationship between activated phenolics or apple phenolics and the symptoms of hangover. And I need to preface it in saying that we are not in any way, number one, encouraging people to drink, number two, binge drinking, or number three, you know, promoting the culture of drinking. We're not about that. But scientifically, as I explained before, because hangover is caused by dehydration and inflammation, by eliminating or reducing the impact and the effects of these two aspects, dehydration and inflammation, you can scientifically reduce the symptoms or even eliminating the symptoms of hangover. And we're talking about how active phenolics can reduce the inflammation in your gut and intestinal lining, and at the same time supports the function of your liver as the major detoxification organ to metabolize and flush out the alcohol.
Okay, so just getting back to the day drinking. Day drinking's okay. These are my takeaways. So day drinking's okay,
With a
as
lot
long
of
as you're not.
with a lot of caveats. So I do believe that day drinking is fun for some people, including myself.
Only once a week or
I'm not saying that this is
once a
something.
month.
No, this is not something that you need to put on a schedule. Like, you don't have to say that, oh, I haven't done a day drinking for, I haven't for 3 weeks. So now I have three allowances that I can now cash in. No, it's not about that. What I'm not here to do is to tell you don't do it. All I'm going to say is that do it responsibly. Do not do it excessively. I do think that
So at the bottomless brunch, when do you stop? Seriously.
I have a rule when it comes to, but especially when it comes to either champagne, sparkling wine, or margarita, because they are so easily drunk. That you drink margarita, especially on a hot day, and then before you know it, you're on your third glasses. So what I'm talking about here is that I usually fit in at least half a glass, if not a glass, of water in between my drinks. because not only it helps to create a buffer to cushion the impact of alcohol in your gut, in your system, but it also makes you uh, slow down in drinking whilst hydrating your system.
But if you're on a bottomless brunch, don't you want to sort of get the best value out of your 90 minutes?
There is an argument to that, and I'm a sucker for free stuff, and I do believe that. And please don't follow this rule, but when it comes to all you can eat or all you can drink or bottomless drink, I do believe that this is my Asian brain. It's a competition. So I need to make my money's worth. In my mind, I have to make money and profit out of the system. So
That's
that's a
terrible.
wrong mentality.
That's terrible.
That's a terrible mentality. However, I know this is my problem. So I don't go to bottomless brunch every week. I go maybe once in a while. I do believe that it's fun, and I do think just the same way that I think about Big Mac or KFC or chicken nuggets. I do think that eliminating this life's pleasure can be detrimental to your mental health. It's just like, I don't know if you're familiar with this meme on social media. Did you know if you stop drinking coffee, you can eliminate 80% of life's pleasure?
Well, that'd definitely be the case with me. And I want to actually ask some questions about coffee. But I do have one thing, and this just might be me. This might be a personal thing. But actually, maybe drinking a little bit too much and having a hangover seems to be kind of more manageable during the day than if you do it at night. Is there anything about that?
I would actually argue that I feel better starting drinking alcohol later on the day. Because if I start early, I feel that it's a slippery slope. You don't stop drinking until after dinner. And I do believe that limiting the amount of time of me drinking can help in terms of, because I don't get hangover. So this is one of my superpowers. I don't get hangover. Uh, and the
Is
reason
that because you take the activated phenolics beforehand, or you can't say that? Or you won't say that?
I personally believe that, but I'm not saying that go and drink as long as you take your activated phenolics. I'm not saying that.
That'd be a bad message.
That's a bad message, but I do believe that the antioxidant capacity in my body is a lot higher because I've been on activated phenolics before anyone has been, because I take my own products even before it was available commercially. But at the same time, I also drink a lot of water. I drink a lot of water every day, and whether or not I'm drinking. But when I'm drinking alcohol, I actually make a concerted effort to drink more water, because I do believe that it helps me to not feeling average the next day.
Okay. So if we change speed a little bit and move on to like coffee and tea, which are arguably other like stimulants.
There are substances that can be addictive and stimulating to your system.
And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I went to my gym session on Sunday, and I normally have 1 cup of coffee. I actually drink the coffee during my gym session. Let's not get into that. But I had a cup of coffee before I got my cup of coffee to go to the gym. And I got to tell you, about halfway through my gym session, I was feeling very, very sort of average, or even a little bit ill. I needed to sit down. It wasn't like completely stopping me from doing what I was doing, but I was feeling really pretty average.
You are dehydrated.
Is that what the coffee
You
did?
are dehydrated. That's what the coffee does. I have to say that, and a lot of people, after our last episode, a lot of people were asking me on Instagram mainly about creatine. I do believe that my pre-workout was ice long black, because it does help with your circulation. It does help with your energy level, but you have to make sure that you also drink water or sip water throughout your working out, because if you don't do that, the coffee, because coffee is inherently dehydrating. It is actually a diuretic. So people drink coffee thinking that, they're hydrating themselves. The coffee actually pulls out all of this water from your cells and leaving your cells dehydrated. And that's the reason why you said that just now that you're not feeling so good in the middle of your exercise, because the first thing that it will pull water from would be your brain. And it's not enough to give you a headache, but it does cause you to feel not 100% when it comes to your exercise.
But in there, you sort of said that actually, my weird habit of drinking coffee while I'm at the gym, does actually have some basis.
Yes, it does. It does have everything in my mind, in my opinion, through all of my training as a scientist. I do think that every single thing that you do does have an impact to your body. The only reason why you don't see the impact usually is, number one, your body is so good at adapting and tolerating, and number two, it is at the low dose that it doesn't cause enough trouble for you to notice.
Okay, so coffee is another thing that people say, oh, you should only drink at a certain time, sort of during the day. It's sort of the reverse of day drinking. Like, coffee is the okay stimulant to drink during the day, but you shouldn't drink it at night. And I have to say, I really like a cup of coffee after dinner, but if I drink too much, I end up getting vivid nightmares. Is that a thing? What's causing that?
So it is a thing. It is probably not specific to vivid nightmare. It's usually vivid dreams. I don't know what's going on in your head that it actually makes the dream more prominent, but in the way of nightmare. So if I drink coffee too close to my bedtime, I will still fall asleep, but I will have vivid dream. It can be a nightmare, but it's not always a nightmare. Just really supercharge that part of your brain that processes dream and makes it a lot more vivid. The other thing that you brought up just now when it comes to timing of the day, when you should or should not drink coffee, or when it is recommended for you to drink coffee when it comes to how your body handles and metabolizes coffee and caffeine, the Italians got it right, I have to say. You know that they only serve cappuccino before 12 o'clock in Italy? You can't really order cappuccino. I mean, sure, you can if you're American tourist, but you shouldn't.
Hello to all the Americans out there.
Hi, Charlie. Hi, Dom. How's Chicago? But that you guys drink like percolated coffee, so you can drink it at any time. Let's go back to Italian being right. And I know that a lot of Italians or people with Italian heritage would agree with me that the reason why they only serve cappuccino during the breakfast before 12 o'clock is because milk protein that is included in cappuccino actually dampens or cushions the effect of caffeine on an empty stomach. So instead of giving the caffeine in one go and really supercharge your system, the milk protein is actually rationing the amount of caffeine that your body can absorb and utilize. So by doing that, it's actually much more gentle on your stomach. And number two, it gives you, this is weird to say, but it gives you a more sustained energy throughout the morning, throughout the day, rather than just having that sip of a strong espresso or strong long black first thing in the morning.
So actually, this is a major difference between me and you. I only drink white coffee, so coffee with milk. You will have a black coffee, won't you?
My rationale is that a cup of latte has more calorie compared to a glass of champagne. So I am just allocating my calorie allowance a lot more wiser.
See, you're just bringing day drinking and coffee drinking sort of back together.
No.
That was amazing how you brought the two topics back together like that. That was very impressive.
Thank you. I guess what I'm trying to say is that you make your choices. So, for example, Marty is a lot more susceptible to a temptation of sweet things like dessert, chocolate. I couldn't care less if you put a slice of chocolate cake in front of me. I could say no. But if you put a piece of fried chicken, I'm a lot more susceptible to eating fried chicken compared
we've
to.
got to do an episode on this because seriously, like for example, my dad, he doesn't eat chocolate at all. He doesn't like chocolate at all. And like, how strange is that? And I want to get into like why.
See, this is the thing. Like, so I feel that sometimes we just have to pick our battle. So I know I have very low self-control when it comes to fried chicken or cheeseburger, but at the same time, I could save 500 calories not eating that piece of cake, or I would remove icing from cupcake because I love sugar and I love baking, but it's not something that would really lower my self-control and lower my inhibition in terms of eating it or stuffing my face with cake. But fried chicken, I one of my achievements in life was I was my hometown champion when it comes to chicken wing eating competition. That was
Really pushing for the stars there.
I know. I think that was an achievement. It's not easy eating a lot of fried chicken. Like competitive eating is requires a lot of
Having
effort.
a PhD in nutrition, this is something that you're proud of.
Well, in my defense, I didn't have my PhD back then when I won the competition.
Okay, so you wouldn't try and repeat that feat. Before we go, just one more question, and I've got to do this. I've got to pick on green tea, right? Because a lot of people drink green tea and they think, oh, it's very healthy and all that sort of stuff. And there's some fantastic memes on the on Instagram and stuff like that I see about green tea. The sickest I've ever felt in a cafe is when actually I'd been drinking coffee too much that day, and I was like, okay, I'm going to get something lighter, and I'll have a green tea. And oh my God, it just threw me completely. Like I was like almost physically ill from drinking it.
The way that red wine affects you is almost the same way that green tea affects you. It's the tannin. So tannin can be really, in Chinese medicine, we call it that tea can be really sharp on your gut. So what it means that the tannin compounds, the thing that you are sensitive when it comes to the red wine, so it comes from the skin of the grapes, and in the form of tea, it also comes it comes in the from the leaves of the tea. The very same group of compounds, tannins, are the one that affects you negatively when it comes to drinking it. And you mentioned that you drank this green tea after drinking coffee, and that makes sense because when you are at the state where you are probably slightly dehydrated and your system is already a little bit overloaded with caffeine, so the amount of tannin that you consume at that time really tip the balance when it comes to how your body tolerates it.
So it wasn't the caffeine in the green tea, because green tea has caffeine in it, doesn't it?
A little bit. Not
more than coffee.
Not more than coffee. And in a lot of cases, especially when the tea leaves are fermented, because there are different types of tea. They all come from the same. If we're talking about true tea, so not herbal tea, not things from flowers and everything. If we're talking about true tea, be it black tea, green tea, white tea, pu'er tea, different types of tea, they all came from the same plants called Camellia sinensis. It's just a different part of the tea, different leaves, different bud, and the way that it's being fermented. So in a lot of teas, for example, rooibos tea, because of the way it's being fermented and aged, the caffeine is naturally denatured. It's not part of the end product anymore. So when you compare the caffeine content of tea and coffee, tea usually, most of the time, will have lower caffeine content compared to tea. Tea will have lower caffeine content compared to coffee.
Okay, I have so many more questions on this, but I think we've kind of run out of time, so we've got to come back to it at some stage.
Well, you just have to tune in again next week because there are a lot of things that we want to talk about when it comes to health, food, and nutrition, and how food and things that you do affect your life in the way that whether or not it can make you healthier and happier or the other way around. But in the meantime, I just want to remind you that today is a great day to be healthy and to be happy. And on that note, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.